In this exercise, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to take a pixel-based image, whether it's a digital photograph or a scanned piece of artwork or something that you've created or crafted or otherwise modified inside Photoshop, and then place it into Illustrator as a linked graphic. I'm working inside this file called storytemplate.ai, and method number one is to go up to the File menu and choose the Place command. Or if you loaded D keys, you can press Ctrl-Alt-D or Command-Option-D on the Mac. And then go ahead and navigate your way to the 21 Photoshop folder, and there you'll find, among other files, this one called SpanishTownDinosaurs.tiff. Now, there's essentially three different file formats that you'll use when conveying images from Photoshop or a camera or a scanner over to Illustrator. There's the JPEG format, which is good for flat files, that is, files that have no layers. And what I typically do, if I'm going to use JPEG, because it introduces lossy compression, is I'll go ahead and save it at the highest quality possible, which is a quality setting of 12 inside of Photoshop, and then place it into Illustrator if I'm going to go that route. Now, a lot of commercial printers frown on the use of JPEG because on very rare occasions it can cause problems with older model PostScript rips. Generally unlikely that that's going to happen, but what most prepress professionals would prefer you use for your flat images is the TIFF file format. That's the industry standard where printing images is concerned. And TIFF saved with LZW compression, which is a lossless compression scheme so that it doesn't modify the pixels inside the image, still delivers pretty small images. It gives you a big file savings where continuous tone images are concerned. And then finally, if you have layers inside of your file, or, for example, if you want transparency associated with a Photoshop image that you're then going to import into Illustrator, you want to save the image in Photoshop's native PSD file format. And I'll show you how that works in a future exercise. But for now, go ahead and select Spanish Town Dinosaurs there inside the 21 Photoshop folder. Drop down to these checkboxes here and make sure link is turned on. That's very important. We'll come back to how linking works versus embedding the image. And then make sure template is turned off. You only want the template checkbox turned on if you're going to create a non-printing tracing template. So link on, template off, replace should be dimmed because nothing should be selected inside this illustration, and then click on the place button, and that goes ahead and places the image into the artboard. All right, so that's one way to work. We're going to go ahead and delete that guy by pressing the backspace key or the delete key on the Mac so that we can replace the image. And I'm going to do that by either going up to the File menu and choosing Browse in Bridge, or you can press Ctrl-Alt-O, Command-Option-O on the Mac. And you may recall from the fundamentals portion of the series, the bridge is the gatekeeper where the various Creative Suite 5 applications are concerned. That's where you can preview your files and organize them and so on. Or click on the Go to Bridge icon in the Applications bar to switch over to the bridge. And navigate your way, as usual, to the 21 Photoshop folder here inside the Exercise Files folder. Now, among other files, as I say, you'll see more files than this because I haven't populated my entire folder yet, but you'll see this one called SpanishTownDinosaurs.tiff. You may or may not see all this metadata underneath it. Don't worry about that. What I'm going to do is go up here to the upper right corner of the window, and notice there's this icon that says Switch to Compact Mode. Go ahead and click on it, or press the keyboard shortcut Control-Enter or Command-Return on the Mac. And that's going to switch you to the compact view of the bridge. And the great thing about the compact view is it hovers in front of the other applications. And you can do this number right here. You can grab SpanishTownDinosaurs.tiff and you can drag it and drop it into Illustrator like so in order to place that graphic. So that's another way to work. Now, the interesting thing about the compact view is if you now click inside of Illustrator, it still remains on top. The compact view remains in front as you work along in Illustrator, even though Illustrator is now active. Now, if you don't want to work that way, you can switch back to the bridge by clicking on it. And then go to this little fly-up menu, once again in the upper right-hand corner of the window, and click on it, and notice that we've got this command that says Compact Window Always on Top. If you turn that command off, and then you go ahead and click inside of Illustrator, then this window will go to the background. Or another thing you can do is just go ahead and switch out of the compact view by clicking on this switch to full mode icon, or you can press Control-Enter or Command-Return on the Mac again, and then you go up to this little boomerang icon to return to Illustrator. And you'll be back in Illustrator and nothing will be on top. So a couple of different ways to work there. And then finally what I'm going to do is I want to take this image, which measures 12 inches wide by 9 inches tall. I just happen to know that because that's the way I set it up inside of Photoshop. My artboard, not surprisingly, is 12 inches wide by 9 inches tall, so I want to exactly align the image to the artboard, and I can do that with the image selected. And by the way, to select an image, when you're working, I'll go ahead and press Control-K or Command-K on the Mac, just as a reminder here. To bring up the Preferences dialog box, I'll switch to Selection and Anchor Display if you have Object Selection by Path Only turned on, as I've recommended many times you do throughout this series. Go ahead and cancel out. Then the way to select an image is to click on its perimeter. And I just clicked on the wrong thing there, so I need to move my cursor up a little bit and click exactly on the edge of that image to select it. Anyway, having selected the image, then I would go up here to the control panel and I would make sure this alignment icon is set to align to artboard. So if it's set to align to selection, it's going to look like this. You need to click on it and choose align to artboard. Then you're going to see some alignment icons over here. Click on horizontal align center and then click on vertical align center, and you'll exactly position that image into place. And there you have two different ways to place a photographic pixel-based image into Illustrator.